My name's Danny. I'm 36, a software engineer living in San Francisco. I thought I had it all figured out. Steady job, nice apartment, and a wife I loved. Her name was Stacy. We'd been married for 3 years, and while things weren't perfect, they felt pretty solid. No big issues, just the usual stuff that comes with married life. Or so I thought. Then Stacy decided to dive deep into a fitness journey. She used to enjoy yoga, but this was something else. She hired a personal trainer named Ryan from a fancy gym downtown, and it felt like it went from a hobby to an obsession. I supported her at first. She was getting back in shape. After all, I even took on more around the house to give her space for her sessions. It felt like a healthy new direction for her. But over time, things started to feel off. Stacy wasn't just working out to feel better. She was working out to be seen. The gym became her world. She spent hours there and more time with Ryan than with me. Her Instagram posts shifted too. They were no longer about us or the life we shared. It was all about her transformation. Every caption was about self-love, new beginnings, and looking amazing. And there were so many comments from strangers praising her like she was some kind of fitness expert. One night, I suggested we have a date night. It had been a while since we did something together, and I thought a quiet evening would help us reconnect. But she brushed it off, telling me she couldn't because she had to train the next morning. I was stunned. It hit me. She wasn't even making time for us anymore. It wasn't just that she was focused on herself. It felt like she had forgotten we were a team. Then one morning it all came crashing down. I was half awake, sipping my coffee before work, while Stacy drank her usual smoothie and scrolled through her phone like it was the most important thing in the world. She suddenly stopped, put down her smoothie, and turned to me. Her face was serious, and I couldn't shake the feeling something was off. "I deserve more in life," she said. I blinked, still groggy. "More of what?" I asked, confused. She stared at me, stone-faced. "This marriage is holding me back. Danny, I'm filing for divorce." I thought she was joking, even laughed, but when I looked at her, I saw she wasn't smiling. She was dead serious. "I've outgrown this," she said, as if I was some outdated piece of furniture that had no place in her life anymore. I was stunned, completely blindsided. My wife, the woman I'd been building a life with, just dropped this bomb on me like it was nothing. I tried to make sense of her words, but all I could feel was anger and shock mixing together. "What do you mean you've outgrown this?" I asked, my voice rising. She sighed, like she couldn't believe I wasn't getting it. "I've been working on myself, trying to be the best version of me, and frankly, this life doesn't match my potential anymore. I want more than this house, this routine, this you." Her words stung. It was clear I wasn't part of the life she wanted anymore. She grabbed her gym bag and walked out without even saying goodbye. I sat there in disbelief, staring at the half-empty smoothie she left behind, trying to process what just happened. The rest of the day at work was a blur. I couldn't focus. My mind kept drifting back to Stacy. Was she really leaving me? Divorce? It felt so sudden, so calculated. She had said it like she'd been rehearsing it, like she'd already made her decision. The next few days were awkward. Stacy came home late, always saying she'd been at the gym, but I couldn't shake the feeling she was with Ryan. It wasn't just about fitness anymore. It was like she was trying to reinvent herself, and I didn't fit into her new life. A week later, she told me she'd already started the divorce process. No conversation, no attempts to work through things. It was as if she'd checked out completely. She was done with me and ready to start fresh with Ryan. I found out they were spending a lot of time together, and worse yet, she wasn't hiding it. She was posting photos of them on social media, making it clear she had moved on. It was like the last shred of our life together was evaporating before my eyes. I saw all the congratulatory comments flooding in for her. People were complimenting her on her glow-up as if she was parading how quickly she had moved on. It felt like she was showing off, flaunting that our entire marriage meant nothing, and I was just a forgotten chapter. Ryan wasn't just her personal trainer anymore. He had become her new everything. I was nothing but a memory. I knew deep down what was happening, but that didn't make it any easier. I kept replaying everything in my mind. Was I too absorbed in my work? Did I neglect her needs? I tried to talk to her, to ask where things went wrong, but every time I tried, she shut me down. Eventually, it became undeniable when she served me the divorce papers. That was it. My wife, the woman I had loved, the one I had built a life with, was gone. She had found a new life, a new identity, and a new person to share it with. Meanwhile, I was left living in the house, unable to kick her out due to the legal mess. I was left to sift through the wreckage, try and make sense of how I ended up here. The more I dug into Ryan's history, the angrier I became. He wasn't just some personal trainer. No, this guy had a track record, one that involved wrecking marriages. Mark, my lawyer, who truly deserves a medal for his dedication, dug up some unsettling facts. Ryan had done this before. Twice, in fact. He found married women, made them feel powerful and adored, then encouraged them to leave their husbands. Once they were emotionally drained, and their wallets drained too, he disappeared without a trace. Ryan was a professional manipulator, a hustler. He wasn't offering love. He was creating chaos for his own gain. And Stacy? She was the perfect target. She thrived on attention and validation, and Ryan knew how to use that against her. But it wasn't just Stacy's money he wanted. He was after mine too. Stacy thought she could waltz into court and play the victim, expecting a sweet deal, a golden ticket for a new life with Ryan. What she didn't count on was Mark having all the evidence, and me not backing down. The morning after the storm broke, Stacy was in the kitchen blending one of her infamous green smoothies, the one she loved to show off on Instagram. But today, there was no smugness, no confidence. She tried to fish for a response, mentioning how Ryan had been busy with his new clients. But I remained silent. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of asking about him. A week later, Mark called with some news. Stacy had filed last-minute paperwork asking for more assets, claiming emotional distress from our marriage. Now she was trying to blame me for her midlife crisis. Mark was prepared with a counterclaim, showing how Stacy had been draining our joint accounts to fund her extravagant lifestyle, manipulating the situation for her own gain. He even found her Instagram posts filled with pictures of her new life with Ryan. And then, just like that, Ryan vanished. He stopped showing up for their sessions, ignored her calls, and blocked her on social media. Stacy spiraled. I could hear her pacing the apartment, calling him over and over, "Ryan, call me back. We need to talk." Her voice was desperate, cracked. It was clear to everyone except her that Ryan had moved on to another, younger woman, one who wasn't dealing with a messy divorce. Stacy's Instagram, once a showcase of her new perfect life, went dark. She stopped going to the gym. One evening, Stacy came to talk to me. She stood in the doorway, her voice fragile, asking if we could reevaluate everything, as if we hadn't already gone through this. I just stared at her, incredulous. What was she getting at? She sighed, clearly trying to summon some sympathy, saying she thought maybe we rushed into the divorce. But I wasn't buying it. She had filed for divorce herself and told me I was holding her back. Now, suddenly, with Ryan gone, she was having second thoughts. She played the victim, talking about how lonely she was and how much she had sacrificed. But I wasn't fooled. I reminded her of her own choices, that she had chosen Ryan and everything that came with it. "You made your bed, Stacy. Now lie in it." I told her. Her fantasy world was crumbling, and I didn't need to do anything. Karma was already at work. The day of the court hearing. Stacy walked in, her usual confident stride replaced by hesitant steps. Her lawyer, a slick city attorney, was clearly just as uncertain. On my side, Mark was ready, armed with a thick binder full of evidence. I wasn't nervous. This was about ensuring the truth came out. Stacy's lawyer tried to paint her as the long-suffering wife, emotionally drained by my supposed lack of support. They even claimed my reluctance to embrace her fitness journey and her affair with Ryan was neglect. Mark calmly dismantled their argument, showing that I had supported Stacy in every way during her fitness journey. Texts where I offered to join her, adjusted my work schedule, and took on extra chores. Then Mark dropped a bomb. Screenshots of Stacy mocking me to her friends, calling me useless baggage, and bragging about how Ryan was her ticket to a new life. The evidence even included a journal entry where Stacy laid out her plan to leave me, take as much as she could, and build a life with Ryan. The judge's face said it all, disbelief. The judge addressed Stacy. Your claims of emotional distress are unfounded. The evidence shows no indication of neglect. In fact, it proves Mr. Sullivan's unwavering support. Then came the financial breakdown. Mark presented bank statements showing how Stacy had siphoned over $15,000 from our joint accounts to fund her lavish lifestyle. The judge was having none of it. This behavior is irresponsible and a clear violation of your marital obligations, the judge declared. The house would remain mine, and Stacy was ordered to reimburse me $115,000 for the unauthorized withdrawals. Stacy's face went pale as everything crumbled around her. The court session ended, and Mark patted me on the back, telling me we'd done it. A few days later, Stacy packed up and left. Watching her drive away was strangely satisfying. She had burned every bridge and was left to deal with the consequences of her own actions. 2 weeks after the court ruling, Stacy showed up at my apartment unannounced. She looked like a shadow of her former self, disheveled, tired, and defeated. Her polished appearance was gone, replaced by messy hair and red eyes. "Danny," she said softly, voice cracking, "can we talk?" I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "What do you want, Stacy?" She hesitated, wringing her hands. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I made mistakes. Big ones. I let Ryan manipulate me, and I got caught up in this fantasy. I ruined everything. Her words felt rehearsed, but the desperation in her eyes was real. She wasn't here because she truly regretted her actions. She was here because she had nowhere else to turn. "I don't know what you expect me to say." I replied calmly, "You made your choices. You chose Ryan. You chose to try to take everything from me. Now you're dealing with the fallout." Tears welled up her eyes. "Can we at least be civil? Maybe start over?" she asked. But I was firm. "I gave you everything, my support, my trust, my love, and you threw it all away. You don't get to come back now and ask for a second chance. That's not how this works." She broke down, sobbing on my porch, but I didn't soften. I stepped back inside and closed the door, leaving her there with her regrets. Since then, I've moved on. The apartment feels peaceful, no longer filled with tension or resentment. Stacy, I've heard, is still struggling to pick up the pieces. She's lost friends, burned bridges, and is facing the reality of her choices. Sometimes karma doesn't just knock. It kicks the door down. For Stacy, it left her with nothing but the consequences of her actions.